Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise today to move an amendment to Bill number 8. I have the requisite number of copies here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can just wait till I have the original, please.
Will.
Your amendment will be referred to as A4.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the members for indulging me in this. It's a fairly long amendment, so I hope that you'll all have a chance to peruse the intentions and the wording. Madam Chair, this amendment is intended to provide balance in the business and contractual relationship and hopeful goodwill between land developers and municipalities by preventing a situation which could be costly for all concerned with respect to cancellation or significant amendment of a previously agreed conservation reserve designation, hence impacting land and housing affordability in a situation where a municipality designates a conservation reserve in good faith, but then when the time comes to complete the transaction for the designated land parcel, they reconsider due to financial or other considerations, thereby disrupting the entire development process, adding time and cost to the development costs, which ultimately affects the end purchasers, and or using the change in priorities, preferences, or direction as a latent negotiating tactic. What might also be a consideration, particularly in a year of municipal elections, is a potential for a significant change in direction of government or elected officials, thereby challenging the sanctity and goodwill of prior commitments. And I reluctantly mention cancelled PPAs and resultant lawsuits in the same breath as an example of risks associated for both parties with long-term capital investments. Madam Chair, we need housing for Albertans. We need affordability for housing for Albertans. And we need to respect that the private sector, as our partners, are the primary providers of the risk capital and expertise needed to meet the housing needs of Albertans. So as much as we need to ensure sustainability on the municipal side of this equation, which we agree with and which has been almost unanimously endorsed by the development community in Alberta, we also need to ensure viability, sustainability, or at the very least certainty to investors, professional land developers and builders in their relationship with local authorities in delivering quality, cost-effective housing solutions. Madam Chair, may I remind this House that the industry we speak of here is not a gathering of big bad, greedy capitalists, but a group of community-spirited Albertans renowned for their philanthropy and reinvestment in the communities in which they develop and build. I cite the good work of the Resolve campaign in Calgary, a gathering of community-spirited leaders, both individually and corporately, from the development and building industry in that city. A bold $120 million reach goal to assist some of our province's most compassionate and experienced nonprofit housing organizations by providing 3,000 affordable rental units through 9 housing organizations: Accessible Housing Society, Alpha House, Calgary Homeless Foundation, Silvera for Seniors, the Mustard Seed, Trinity Place Foundation, Horizon Housing, where I just attended a sod turning last week, presided over by your own Minister of Seniors and Housing, and more. Madam Chair, Resolve has a leadership group of 11 Calgary-based philanthropic builders providing funding expertise and leadership in raising funds for our most vulnerable. I will also note that this is an industry that not only provides risk capital, but that in doing so employs thousands of Albertans, and not just employing them, but providing a model for workplace success, safety, and good, stable, mortgage-paying jobs. Madam Chair, I was blessed to work for one of those companies and community-spirited leaders, not just one of Canada's Platinum 50 Best Managed Companies, but also a decade-long plus recognition as one of Canada's best workplaces, voted primarily through an employee survey. The same ownership group has provided significant philanthropic support for such organizations or causes as Kids Cancer Research, Chinese Community Services, Children's Hospital Foundation, University of Calgary Medical Research, Bow Valley College, Immigrant Services Calgary, SAIT, UNICEF, Canadian Red Cross, Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, Kids Up Front, Global Fest, Habitat for Humanity, and more. Madam Chair, I believe our Minister of Advanced Education was just at an event also cutting ribbons for a new facility partially funded by that organization. Madam Chair, I can cite dozens of examples of similar acts of philanthropy and community commitments from many, many others, members of the building and development community. And many have also received Trailblazer Awards from the Alberta Construction Safety Association and have been recognized by WCB for thousands of hours of incident-free work sites, another very important factor and consideration for Albertans. Make no mistake, this industry represents more than just a successful, hard-working, risk-taking group of builders and developers. They are indeed community builders. Is it an unreasonable request to ask for a small added measure of certainty in the risks associated with their capital investment? How else will we meet the needs of our economy? And if we are in fact blessed with modest economic growth and positive net in-migration in the near future, who will we rely upon to provide housing supply and affordability? Who will we turn to for funding, expertise, and leadership in meeting our affordable housing needs? And who will we turn to in supporting our vulnerable, particularly when government coffers are challenged? And many charities and nonprofits rely on the generosity and philanthropy of the private sector, which I would argue is overrepresented with respect to members of the development and building industry relative to the size of their operations, revenue, jobs, and profits they generate. And let's also not forget the risks associated with such long-term investments, particularly during times of economic uncertainty, as sadly reflected in the recent seeking of creditor protection by a well-established Alberta company with over 35 years of market experience. Such are the risks associated with significant capital outlays and long-term patient investment each and every day. To be clear, we fully support the concept that a municipality may include policies addressing the newly proposed Conservation Reserve designation, including identifying additional types and locations of environmentally significant areas with the environmental purpose of conservation, and how it might serve to further enhance the nature and design of new communities. We have no arguments from the building industry that we've heard on that point. But we also believe that the identification and a firm commitment to Conservation Reserve lands must be done as early in the planning process as possible and include some certainty. But a key component that is missing from the proposed policies, Madam Chair, is that a more balanced and respectful approach would include provisions that require municipalities to follow through with the purchase of lands once they have been identified and designated as Conservation Reserve in statutory plans. This would ensure no waste of time, resources, or the burden of unnecessary costs being added to the development process, which, by the way, is always passed on to the end customer, often with added carrying costs. And as importantly, put some structure to the goodwill I think we would all expect in such an agreement, commitment, or transaction. Madam Chair, I am imploring all members of this House to do the right thing by not only supporting the municipalities and communities we serve, but to incorporate and protect the right to fair and balanced practices with respect to those companies and individuals who truly build our communities, who take risks every day, who are entitled to reasonable returns on that risk, as we in government provide the structure, infrastructure, and stability to encourage such investments for the betterment of life and affordability for all Albertans. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable